You know what time it is.
What's up, beer people?
If you heard it on the hashtag beer time, it's true.
It must be true.
It's true. It is fact. Please, won't you name one of your beers cart horse?
And just do something terrible. Just shit beer.
Stick your finger in there every now and again.
Stir it with the sock.
Every show, it feels like my first show.
Every show is a new adventure.
We're having some good conversation here, Mr. Troy.
Did I make sense there? I think I did.
I love them all.
Are we off air?
Hello. Hello. Oh, hello. Welcome to another episode of Hashtag Beer Time with me, T-Bone Troy, the show where we talk about all things beer. In our show today, we have a gentleman. His name is Dewald, and he is the head brewer of Tuk Tuk Microbrewery in Franschhoek, Western Cape. I think I'm saying that correct, Tuk Tuk. Anyway, we ask him to help us out. Now, the brewery is part of the Cape Brewing Co. family, which is pretty much one of the better known craft breweries in South Africa, but it still acts as its own entity, and it's making a lot of great waves in the industry with the awesome beers that they're making. And we get to try those beers on the show. How cool is that? Dewald shows us some of his favorites. He also gives us a little taster of his new experimental beer. We talk a lot about the industry. He's a pretty clued up guy when it comes to brewing. So there were times when I had to actually just push pause a little bit and just ask him to repeat what he said. And we also have Mr. Murray Middleton, the brewer of Metal Lane. And we talk, we drink beer, we laugh, we have a very cool time. Of course, we have a good time. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, let me know what you think. Ciao.
Every week I try and do a different intro, and I think I'm doing the right intro when I click on it, but this is just not the intro that I wanted. I was hoping for something a little bit more funky. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is T-Bone Troy. It is 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, and that means we get to drink some beer. It's hashtag beer time on Two Oceans Vibe Radio. Hello, how are you? I've been looking forward to this little part of the show. Well, this show, in fact, because I've got a new guest. A guest who is making waves. He's one of the younger brewers to grace us with his presence. I'm going to jump straight into introducing him. His name is Dewald, and he is the head brewer of Tuk Tuk. Mr. Dewald, hello.
Good day.
You sound fantastic. I've got a co-host in the studio, and he is the co-host. He's taken a bit of an absence. He's been a little bit busy, let's not lie, but he is back. Ladies and gentlemen, he needs an introduction. Mr. Murray from Metal Lane. Hello, sir.
Hello, T-Bone. Hello, Dewald. Shit, it's good to be back.
Yes. Oh, I can tell you what, the studio's missed you.
I've missed the studio.
Just the studio, and I'm not trying to say it as an analogy, it's just the studio. No one asked. It's just the studio that's missed you.
Okay.
So welcome back. Today, let's cut the music. Yes?
No. Cancel.
You
Cancel.
had something.
No.
It's way too early.
That banjo music sounds like the banjo music of that video I sent you the other day.
Don't know what
You can lay some of that Walmart yodeling over that as well.
Yes, with the deep, that like real trancey one.
I haven't actually watched any Walmart yodeling.
Have you not seen it? You can't miss it.
I've seen GIFs and I've seen small videos, but I feel like
that little kid's famous now, yeah?
I know. I saw him, like, they invite him to events and stuff. But I just
super famous and no one knows why. I mean,
yeah.
it's really
But you know, he's been yodeling in Walmart for like he's done it like hundreds of times, and that
put it to
one
work, and it's
yeah.
yeah.
Mazza,
You pay your dues.
Can you hear Dewald?
No, I think he needs to go a little bit closer there.
No, or just
Well,
that's fine. Go like this. Just Mazza, help him there. Turn his mic until he finds a sweet spot.
Sweet spot. Is Is that a
Just
switch
go like this. Go.
That sounded good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, you've got it. Fat man. There we go. Oh, always good to have a few technical issues here.
Can we pop one of these?
Let's. I'm not gonna talk. But listen, this show is all about tuk-tuk. Am I saying it right? Do people get it wrong sometimes?
I don't know. I just
Tuk-tuk.
kind of go, yeah, that spot in Franschhoek, you know.
Yes.
Number 14, you're gonna.
You are also asking Dewald Goosen.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly the.
So which one are we popping here?
Let's do
Yeah,
pale
well,
ale first.
this one.
'cause, Yeah, the other two will.
Okay, just in
So you
case
bought
you.
us-
Oh, it says it on top.
Just be careful with that mic.
Yeah.
It's good to be back, eh?
Routine. Whoa, that one was slightly happier to see you than I expected. Almost as happy as the studio.
Yeah.
Mazza, just adjust your mic there.
It's very unlike this show to have some technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's very unprofessional of me too.
Uncharacteristic. Okay.
So you brought us 3 beautiful growlers. These things are
Magnificent.
3 liters. What's
Two.
2 liters.
Yeah, 2 liters. You can fill them up at the brewery. Unfortunately, not at Tuk Tuk yet,
Okay.
but you can fill them up at the Spice Route.
Is that because of the liquor license?
Licensing, yeah.
Okay, so
as
you're
always, the issues
on
are
consumption,
license.
not
The issues never really come from the Western Cape Liquor Authority.
Thank you,
They're
kind
really
sir.
generous and they don't make it hard for anyone.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So tell us, while Maz is pouring there, tell us a little bit about this beer. This is the Pale Ale. Anything special that
Yeah.
we should know about it?
Well, this is kind of like I don't want to call it stock standard, but it's the house pale ale at Tuk Tuk. Usually brewed with a bit of Southern Passion and Galaxy.
Okay.
This batch I did with Southern Passion and Citra, actually.
That's a cool thing about, sorry to interrupt, that's a cool thing about like having a serving tap room.
Yeah,
You don't have to like
play
meet the
around.
standards of what people are expecting. You
Exactly.
can change it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Okay.
if you're a brew pub, it's I suppose, the batch of the week.
Yeah, I've got
That's-
a rotating tap that's specifically like one of the beers that we'll actually try is what's on there right now. And in that one, I can pretty much throw anything at it. You know,
Yeah.
I've done
Brewer's
coffee
discretion.
pale ales and
I've had that,
different
yeah.
I had that
porters
coffee
and
meal.
kind
It's
of thing.
delicious.
So we're interrupted.
No, not at all. Oh yeah, so this one is Citra Southern Passion, and then what I did is I actually just
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. I dry hop it with 2 grams per liter, so nothing too crazy, but I get good aroma, and the dry hopping really, I don't know, for some reason it just really goes well in those tanks.
Did you? Sorry. No, so there's no South African hop in here. Did you say?
No, there is Southern Passion and,
Okay.
and Citra.
So I am getting that Southern Passion, melon fruity, Moorishness. I'm just gonna go for some. I'm gonna stop talking that shit.
Yeah, this one was kind of brewed for like the coiffer, so that, because as you can taste, I mean, it's very light body, 4.8%.
It's incredibly light bodied. It's incredibly low in carbonation. Yet I'm looking at this moosey, thick head.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I just forgot to brush my hair.
So this is it just falls down the palate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's delicious.
that's the point. We go through loads of this, obviously, on a hot day. This goes down like a homesick mole, so it really...
But that's my opinion, hey? I think the pale ales are the beers, there's surprisingly few of them out there. And there are beers, like a blonde, I think, is also a good one.
Yeah.
But like smashable beer on a hot summer's day that isn't a lager.
No, exactly. It's for... This one is kind of like, because even the lager I do at Tuk Tuk isn't exactly your stock standard lager. You know, there's no Pilsner malt or pale malt in there. It's all Munich and Vienna malt. And that
So just explain to the people listening
what's
what's the difference with those two malts?
So the kilning and roasting portion of that changes that malt completely from what you would get from a pale malt, which is very light in color, and a Pilsner malt, which is even lighter than that.
So from what I know, the pale malt and the Pilsner malts, those are pretty much stock standard. What most brewers put it as a base malt.
Yes, exactly.
Like 80 to even 100% of the beer.
Yeah, completely.
But now you've taken can we say it's a specialty malt?
Yes, it is definitely.
Maybe a dual malt can be specialty. Can
Yeah,
be
look,
base.
both of those can be used as a base malt, but then you're going for a very specific beer, like 100% Vienna lager, 100% Munich, and then obviously you're heading into the Helles region.
Okay.
So yeah, with that lager, for instance, I also, because I didn't want to do a standard lager there, because obviously we've got our CBC lager.
Sure.
And that's like...
Award-winning.
Yes, and that's our like dead set solid lager.
Yeah.
So at Tuk Tuk, obviously we could play around. So
Can't really try and better a Wolfgang recipe, can you?
actually, that's my recipe. No,
What
I'm
the
bullshit.
yes.
No, but that's such
He's gonna be waiting for you.
Such a rock solid lager. So
Yes.
then we went with something else for Tuk Tuk. And that's why I made that beer kind of like a slightly more interesting lager.
Mm.
But the fact that you call it a lager has such a massive impact on sales.
Yeah.
You know, you say, people don't even check, you know, they just go,
Yeah,
I'll have a lager.
You could say that's a lager.
Yeah.
And then they would drink it and they wouldn't think
it's
it's
a hoppy
different.
lager, and they'd go,
Yeah.
oh, this is amazing.
This is a recurrent theme that we have on the show, and that's all with the perception that the consumer has. I think that's, unfortunately, the mass majority of the consumer out there in South Africa is maybe not... That's uneducated, is to put it lightly. You know, they
It's also lack of exposure. you know?
exactly, they have been exposed to lagers their whole life.
Yeah.
And you still get that tag of beer equals lager equals beer. When they want a beer, they immediately want a lager. So it's going to take time before we get there. But I like that. I like that you. I guess you're not just making with your lager. You're not just making a simple base malt of pale or Pilsen malt lager. You actually experiment. And so when people do have a lager, they're thinking, oh, this is a nice lager. It's got a little bit more sweetness. It at least gets those consumers, which are so difficult to reach and change, it at least gets them to start thinking.
Obviously, also
Like,
colour-wise.
wow, yes, it's a different color. It's got a little bit more orange. So we need to kind of just, with those people, get the ball rolling. Get them to, like that little hamster wheel inside the head, get them to just put one foot on and just squeaky.
I'm very surprised, I must say, in Franschhoek, in terms of, like, I've brewed some weird beers that I've put on tap, and, you know, people actually
Haven't
go
we
for
all?
it. Yeah. But, I mean, I did a India Pale Weizen. You know, so I did a 6.5%, 30 IBUs, international bittering units, and I made that beer crazy big. You know, Weiss beer yeast, 30% wheat, and I threw all the hops at it. You know, I went nuts with it. And I thought, oh, this beer's going to sit around here for ages. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Sold out before the next seasonal was ready.
Sure.
So it just depends, you know.
So what did you call it?
India Pale Weizen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's a wheat beer IPA. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Brewdog did one.
I'm pretty sure they have.
Yeah, then again, what haven't they done?
Yeah. Okay, so I think we kind of wrapped up. Well, it was quite a nice introduction in terms of lagers and what the consumer is expecting. But just to come back to this beer and back to pale ales, I really do think it's great to have brewers, and I'm not just saying this because Mazza's in the studio, but it's great to have brewers with their pale ale being their flagship, being their money maker, the beer that they push, that they sell the most of. And I really do believe that South Africa needs to go that direction.
Yeah, definitely.
I
It's
think
a gateway beer.
Yeah, it's a beautiful gateway beer.
I mean, this is a very, as you said, gateway. Like, what are the IBUs on this?
That's about 28.
And
It's relatively low for a pale ale, but
Yeah.
but I'm getting mass amounts of aroma.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I get such good utilization of the dry hopping.
from
Like,
2
'cause that's
grams.
2 grams per liter,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, if you're gonna,
It's
ask
more
most
aroma
people,
than what
they'd
you would
say-
expect from 2
Yeah,
grams.
they'd say minimum 4 or whatever, but that's not the case. I mean,
Why did you go with 2?
well, I initially
So
started out with 2.
just explain to people and maybe myself, 2 grams per liter. What are you talking about?
So the amount of hops I used. Obviously, in this, I stuck to going, like I said, I did Southern Passion and Citra, and then the two of them in equal amounts, in equal bittering units
Sure.
throughout the beer. And then at the end with the dry hopping, I also did half of the full weight
Okay.
as Citra hops and half of the full weight as the South African varietal Southern Passion.
So that 2 grams per liter is the total?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's 1 kilogram of hops on 500 liters of beer in the tank.
Okay.
And then obviously that's 500 grams Citra and 500 grams Southern Passion.
Can you give me another example of another beer?
If I
Like a
brew-
lager? Or
Well, if you do a lager,
let's look at
you probably won't dry hop it
Yeah.
unless you wanted to get, a bit
I'm
of...
just talking in general, like
Yeah.
what would you expect to find grams per liter
If
in a
you're
normal
going-
beer? I say normal.
that, I suppose, two
Yeah.
grams per liter is kind of like
really?
normal. Then obviously when you go IPAs and that sort of thing, then you start looking at anywhere from 4 to 10, depending on what type of IPA you're
10's
doing.
generally like quite big.
Yeah, 10's, huge.
Unless you're a home brewer where it's 20 with my case.
Yes.
But also,
Then it's just like hop sludge.
yeah, but I feel like there's diminishing
in the
No
middle.
beer. I've got no beer.
The hops just sucks up all the liquid.
but I've only got 2 pints.
So,
It's green.
so that's amazing that you've gone that low with 2 grams per liter. And as I said, I mean, this is a massive aroma, but I suppose all your hops kind of worked its way towards the aroma side rather than the bittern side.
And how long did you dry hop for?
Well, I've got like a set kind of rule for my hoppy beers. Obviously, I dry hop a little bit earlier than usual. I don't wait for the end of fermentation. So what I do is I dry hop it and then close the tank off so that it builds up natural pressure to get the carbonation.
Yeah.
And for instance, with the pale ale, I like to dry hop it when it's still at 5 Plato. Plato being a measurement for the gravity of beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5 Plato is fairly high, and like for any home brews or something, 5 Plato is around the
50.
1.021.
Oh, that was a good guess,
roundabout.
Troy.
Around about in that region
That
in terms of
play-
SG. When the Plato is low, you can basically multiply it by 5,
Okay.
by 4.
Yeah.
Then I close it off, and also then because it's still fermenting, you get a bit of what they call biotransformation. So you get esters from the yeast that bond with hop compounds. So it gives you slightly more juicy fruitiness, and also obviously the yeast used. And then I ferment it quite warm, 21 degrees. So then you get a lot of fruit esters from the yeast as well.
Mazza, I don't know about you, but I'm learning stuff. I'm learning stuff.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, it's always nice to chat to other brewers and find out because, like, I've also got what I like to do, and chatting to Dave from Fierce when he was in here, it was also nice seeing he's like, I will not dry hop for longer than 4 days, I think.
Yes, yes.
Because he's like, then it gets too grassy, and I dry hop my pale ale for 7 days, and I don't get any grassy notes from it.
Really?
But I do know that it is a possibility, and I don't know whether that comes down to freshness of the hops or temperatures that you're doing it at. But I mean, I normally drop it a degree or 2 when I'm dry hopping. So like, I know all the theories and like chatting about when Devold says he doesn't do his dry hopping under pressure when it's at 5 Plato.
Yes.
Then like, I know what the potential changes it can make. You know, a lot of people will say, well, then if you are blowing off, you are losing those volatiles from the hops in your blow off. But if you're locking it up and you're keeping all of that, then you're not. You're naturally carbonating.
It's one of those, like, there are many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And that's just one of them. I mean, you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
What gets you the best results on your system. For instance, this beer also, something I didn't mention that's a massive contributing factor, is that about 15 of my IBUs, bittering units, that you get from boiling hops, is done in the whirlpool. So my hop additions go from, a super tiny addition at the 60-minute mark to a large addition at the 10-minute mark.
Yes.
And then in my whirlpool, it's a monstrous addition. I mean, even if I didn't dry up this, you'd still be able to pick up the hop.
Yeah.
Where, for the people listening, where do you whirlpool? Where is that in the process?
Obviously, depending on the system, it's after you've boiled.
Okay.
Basically, you give it a good spin, and then there are proteins inside that start coagulating, and they sit down at the bottom with your hops and your solids left over.
And those are the proteins you don't want in the beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've usually cooled to below a specific temperature that isomerization doesn't take place.
Yeah. I'm lucky enough though because I brew small batches at a time, so it's 250 liters.
Okay.
I can cool it really quickly.
Yeah.
So I go to Whirlpool. Another thing I'm lucky about is that my so-called Whirlpool, because it's a 2-vessel system,
Yeah.
has a false bottom. So it's like a sieve.
Oh, nice.
So what I do is I go across, I chuck the hops in, and 5 minutes later I'm starting the cooling, and it takes me about 22 to 25 minutes to cool a batch.
Yes, that's nice. That's quick.
Yeah.
So, I kind of push it, and
Yeah.
now that I've brewed so many times on that plant, you get used to it.
But your brewery is quite like locally. It's like a bit of scraps from here, scraps from there.
Yeah,
like
no,
it's been thrown together.
It's basically
but,
pots and pans.
Is it
Yeah.
Casper Schultz?
Yes.
But with a little bit of
No, it's
elbow grease.
It's full on Casper Schulz, except this is like the, how can I say?
it's
microbrewery.
just so
Yeah,
beautiful that you want to just lick it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane.
But also,
Well, there you go.
very manual, so it's very fun to work on
Yeah.
because it's old school Louter, you have to use differential pressure that you can actually visually do. It's a lot of fun.
Sure. So many directions that we can go to.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's. No. This is great. We're having some great conversation. Firstly, before I forget,
Another beer.
Yeah.
I do want another beer, but in terms of cooling, I know what that's like having a quick cool. I've been brewing for 6-7 years now, home brewing, and for the first time I used a counterflow pipe,
Yes.
chiller.
No, was it not? It was immersion. Or was
No, it was an immersion. We usually use an immersion where we stick the copper pipe in the boiler.
Yeah.
But this time, I actually got previous week's guest, old Paul from Kennel. He sold me his counterflow chiller,
yes.
and for the first time, I took the beer straight from the boiler, in through the pipe, and into the carboy, and it was wonderful.
Perfect.
I was
Works
gobsmacked.
like a bomb. Yeah.
I was so happy. And
But it is little things like that when you go from home brewing to commercial brewing, where you start being like, okay, cool, we've got a transfer, we've got a Lauter now, and you're like, oh, just use the pump.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I don't have to like
Yeah, it
lift
makes
this
a
bag
massive
of
difference.
malt out of here and like pour over
There's
here.
still a lot of lifting. We don't have a pump on our homebrew system. Before I get carried away and talk, I think we need to move on to our next beer because we've had the first beer.
Indeed.
Jeez,
Jeez, I'm excited.
I can't wait to see that on the. I can't wait to. Oh, there's another one. So what are we drinking here?
So this is the Dunkel. This one came straight from CBC.
Oh,
It's our Brewmasters Reserve
I
Dunkel.
didn't have that, man.
I
have.
I brew a Dunkel at Tuk Tuk as well.
Excuse me. Sure, Moser, that's very aggressive with the pour.
So this is basically our limited edition. We did one of these last year, but it's quite a hit, so we decided to do another round this year.
Do you have some clots, T-Bone?
I do. Just what is a dunkel?
Dunkel is a Munich-style dark lager. So obviously, like I was saying earlier, once you start going, you just use Munich malts. This has got slightly more than just Munich malt in it. It's got about 8 malts in it.
Cloth there. Here we go.
So it's
It's a beautiful bloody beer. Look
yeah,
at
that's one thing. But also we've got an amazing team that gets it from start to finish. So
This
what you
is
see here is not just the work of one person. It's
no,
the team.
and I like that. I
You're not
think
going to see this side of Metal Lane anymore.
I've always liked that about CVC. Now, obviously, Tuk Tuk is a cousin, what do you say?
Brother.
It's like
It's
a
a brother
Younger brother.
of CVC.
It's like an adopted brother that you don't really talk about because he was in prison for some time.
Is that
No, I'm
a
kidding.
direct
It's-
reference to you? Or?
It's it's an agreement that we have with I suppose an agreement that we have with the Liu Collection. So we brew the beer and they do the rest.
Yeah,
It's to be dead honest, it's a sweet deal.
it's a sweet deal. It
We
is a
go
sweet
there,
deal.
we make beer, we can do whatever we want. I get to do crazy stuff like the last beer we'll try, which we'll chat about later.
Yeah,
It
I've-
sounds like a sweet deal.
Yeah, I have done some like stupid stuff where I threw things in the tank and I was going, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
And then it works out, we sell the beer and it's rad.
Yeah.
sure.
But that's essentially like the brewer's dream is to
Yeah,
be able to
exactly.
do a batch and like not just be like, oh, I'm brewing this again and like just go through the motions, but to be like, cool, I'm gonna go do some research, find something stupid, and give it a go.
Get lost on the mountain
Yeah.
and just find some shrubs and just
Yeah.
chuck it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it all sounds like fun and
Cheers.
games. But when you're doing something, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
But when you're doing something like for instance, when I did this last beer that we'll try, you know, you kind of lose a bit of sleep and you stress and because you don't know what's going to happen, especially if you've never done it. So it comes with its slight downside, I suppose. But then once you release it and you actually got what you wanted, there's like it's.
But it's also the biggest.
high fives and pitching
Yeah.
tents, you know.
But you've got
It's the biggest space for learning.
Yes,
in my opinion.
definitely.
Like, if you're ever going to learn, that's how you do it.
yeah, you've got a great network, as you're saying. You've got a great team to learn from. You've got a great team who supports that in what you do, and that's always what I've liked about CBC is that it's very family orientated in that it's not just one brewer. It's a collection
it's a
of
team.
people
Exactly.
who make this product that we have in front of us.
Yeah,
to
everyone's
this beer-
responsible for it. I mean,
So this beer, obviously, you use in a base malt of maybe what
Munich,
Munich, okay,
Yeah.
and then you add in some speciality, which is
a whole world of speciality.
can't really
Kind of took a handful of darts and threw it at the Weimann chart. There's Munich in there. There's Cora Munich 3. There's Cora Munich 2. There's a touch of Cora 4. There is Cora Roma. There's a little bit of Melanoidin.
Wow, we're talking as a complex.
Yeah, look, it's layered.
Layered.
It's the goal was to, because remember, this is still a lager. Essentially, if you take it down to the bones, this is a lager.
It's the
But
most ridiculous.
we tried to give it. Yeah, it's a beaut, eh?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but there are not enough dark lagers in South Africa.
Exactly.
And
You
this
know, I think-
Dunkel and any other dark lager, give it to me. It needs to happen.
I forget her name.
Imke.
Yes, Imke. She does a great dunkel as well. Yes, read my mind, eh? Well done.
I think there's a reason why I have a beer show.
Yeah, Imke really does a great job with her dunkel as well. But the only problem is you can't really get it in Cape Town.
Yeah, she doesn't like to distribute.
I understand why, because her products get treated poorly.
It needs
from
to be in
A
cold
to
chain.
B.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We are talking about beer.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
her goods.
Where was I gonna lead to next? I wanted to talk about your brewery, and you are located in the Franschhoek area. You actually, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the only brewery in Franschhoek town.
In the village, in the little strip,
Yes.
we're the only one.
That's pretty. You got a sweet deal as that
Yeah.
you are in a very tourist heavy
Yeah.
walkway.
And there's
for
big
example-
events that happen in Franschhoek as
Exactly.
well, where it's just like
even the literature festival. I was like, why are you guys getting ready for the literature festival? You know, it's literature, and the people get smashed.
says the
people,
brewmaster.
People come in
Learned
drunk and they're like,
brewmaster.
yeah. I'm like, what are you doing?
No, I know.
But it's crazy. Then the influx of people from all over the world is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then obviously,
But especially
but still,
that group, what's it, the Leo group?
yeah, the Leo collection.
The Leo collection is also like,
Yeah, they've covered quite a bit of ground. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Maza,
Yeah.
did you enjoy the literary festival?
yeah, I did, eh?
Won first prize at the spelling bee.
Ding.
You didn't go. I didn't go. We didn't.
I
go.
just didn't get the invite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of those things that I would have gone, but I was expecting an
No, I
invite.
turned it
and,
down.
like, just out of,
I turned it down.
I
was busy.
I just forgot to RSVP.
you,
Damn shame.
So you're the only brewery in the actual little town. So you must be exposed to a lot of foreign visitors, and
Extreme amounts.
you are. I think you're one of a few brewers in South Africa that has that direct passage to
Yes.
foreign visitors.
Definitely.
You are one of a few brewers that represent South African beer,
Yeah,
and
to a certain degree.
to a large degree because it's very tourist heavy, Franschhoek, and like the other Franschhoek brewers or like the other Cape Town brewers, most of the breweries are located in an industrial area.
Yeah.
It's not
And
high
also,
passage, not high walk, foot
tap
passage.
rooms and things. You know, those
Traffic,
things are
that's what I'm trying to
key.
say.
If you don't have a tap room, you're not even really exposed to local if you don't have a tap room.
Yeah.
So for us there, you can come in, sit down, have a bite. There's 10 beers on tap. I mean,
You've got some great food. You've
Yeah,
got some great
they-
food next. You got La Catia Francais.
Yeah.
You've got Forage, is it?
Foliage.
Foliage.
and they are phenomenal as well. I mean, but that whole
I'm surprised
section
you're
is
still
a
skinny.
hub. Well, beer, food, and then
Yeah, lack of sleep.
and stress. But it is a good spot. I mean, we've got Olaf and them just down the road as well. They're not far out. I mean, but it is unfortunately not
Olaf from
something-
Franschhoek Brewing Co. Then you've got Anya right next door from Hey
Hey
Joe.
Joe, yes.
And that's opening
That
August.
should be soon. Yeah.
I know that
things
she
are
was
looking
at
good.
she was at your brewery this last weekend.
Yes, she was there
At
for our
CBC.
tap takeover once a month. I mean, you've been there before, Mo.
Yeah, it's fantastic, eh?
And that's where CBC invites. They open their doors on a Saturday and they invite 3 or 4 brewers.
Usually we try and get 4 guys in, or not. Sorry, not guys. Try to get 4 breweries in,
Yeah.
and then
I
what
also
happens
refer
is
to
it's a-
guys and girls as guys.
Yeah, it's like a bad habit.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose not that bad. Anyways.
Yeah.
So what happens is the 4 brewers would come in, set up a little.
Kiosk or hockey.
Yes, basically like you would have at a festival, but you can just choose what beers you bring, and then it's just for basic exposure, because obviously at the Spice Route we also get foreign visitors as
Yeah.
well as local visitors that
Yeah.
generally wouldn't go looking for your beer.
Yeah.
So they come around, they go, oh cool, I can do a tasting, and then I can try beers from 4 other breweries,
Yeah, it's a
which
great-
I think is a great idea.
Great platform. Mazzy,
place pumps.
you enjoyed it, hey?
I loved it, eh?
When did you do it? Last month?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because it happened
This is the second one
last
this
Saturday.
year.
Last Saturday of every month.
It's the last Saturday of every month, and
Well,
yes,
in
like,
winter.
it's just such a well-run event.
Yeah.
Like, like, from my perspective, I went, took the beer, set everything up for myself, and then you get a whole bunch of tasting glasses. Guys, try the beers and everything. Guys and girls, try the beer.
Yes.
And
Oaks.
you literally you put your dirty glasses down and you turn around and they've taken, and there's just like you taken care of so nicely. Like, that was terrible English. They take such good care of you, and
You should go to that literature festival. next
yeah, I was
year.
going to say,
You shouldn't have turned that invite down.
I've got a lot of guys from the festival listening. They just tweeted and they said they told me that my English there was terrible, so I had to
okay,
correct
okay.
it. It's a fantastic. It really is a great event. It was, and we had some of Wolfgang's. I can't even remember what it was, but it was damn delicious afterwards.
Yeah, Wolfgang always makes a nice meal as well. for-
Jeez.
You know, he makes a special.
He
He's
was
got
pouring me-
some tricks up his sleeve.
he's a winner,
But
eh?
also getting the Imperial IPA out of the tank, out of the pigtail.
And it's not a small tank. What we're talking
No.
about 3,000 liters of.
No, it's like 20,000.
Okay.
No,
Wow.
no, that's actually 9,000 liters. Most of them, and then we've got the 18s at the back, the new ones.
I'm sure it was out of one of the 18s. The pigtail, he's just like holding the glass like
And
9
this
meters
thing
away, and it's
shoots,
just
yeah.
shooting into
From
the
all the
glass.
pressure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like full bodied, like still nice and hazy, got
Chewy,
everything.
yeah.
Yes, and it was just
Yeah,
a
that
dream.
is- the Imperial out of the tank is like.
But also, he pours you a 500 ml glass,
treat.
and then another one, and then another one.
So it's one of the small tasters.
Yeah. He could have given me a roll full of dirt, and I would have taken. I wouldn't have known.
At Tuk Tuk though, like I pour a pint out of a tank and I actually feel it. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, this is 500 ml
Yeah.
of this
Yeah, yeah.
tank.
Yeah.
And it's like when you homebrew, you don't want to take gravity readings because you're going, no ways, man. It's not worth it.
Is it fermented out? I don't give a shit.
No, I don't care. It's going to sit there for another 2
Yeah.
weeks.
So, speaking of well-run events and CBC, some news that's crossed our networks, our emails last week is that CBC are now the official breweries of
Indeed.
South African Beer Fests,
Yep.
which is massive news. For those of you who don't know, so this SA Beer Fest is the German beer fest, which has been going for
Good couple of years.
good
What's
couple of
SAB?
years. It was always at SAB. At
Beer
the-
by SAB.
it was always
Yeah.
at SAB South African Breweries, which is now AB InBev. There's some very well-run events at the Newlands Brewery, and then I think last year was the first year where it moved to Grand
casino,
West. I think with the whole AB InBev merger, I think there were certain
certain
restrictions.
parties
Just
that
Too
were-
much going on.
And actually, unfortunately, it was my first year that I didn't go.
I didn't go either.
Same, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people were just like, oh,
It wasn't as well marketed, and also everyone was
maybe
like,
different
"Whoa."
crowd, different area. It's not in a
I was standing at the
Not a
Newlands
lekker
Brewery
spot.
in my Lederhosen,
waiting to go
wondering
inside.
what's up.
I
This is
saw
the
you there.
festival.
I saw you.
I think we were all there. But great news is that
great
the
imagery.
SA Beer Fest is now. I think it's Cape Town, Durban, Joburg. I stand to be corrected, but it is at Grand West again this year. But the great news is that it's CBC or the official brewers, and if I mean I was invited to the announcement on Friday. Unfortunately, I couldn't go.
Yeah, so you big time these days. Or should I say beer time?
The beer time.
Oh.
No. Beer time was invited. I sent my assistant.
Stunt double.
Stand double. But apparently there's a big.
Doing the keg throws. Just because he's stronger than Troy, he can throw it a little bit
I'm
further.
waiting for the cake throw competitions to happen. Not to get sidetracked, but there's a talk of a beer goat race. Anyway, so speaking of events and sports, there was a whole bunch of activities that were happening at CBC on Friday. And one of the activities was sawing off a piece of wood,
Yep.
a log. The other one was milking a fake cow. I found that quite interesting.
Have you never milked
And
a
then,
fake cow, right?
and then whoever got... There was a great prize. I mean, you think about it. I'm going to go milk a fake cow. But apparently the prize, which was awarded to a mate of mine, gets a free table at the beer fest with him and 6 mates, VIP, all beer, all
Was it
food.
Roscoe? Because then I'm in.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
Right.
Roscoe.
Are you sure it was a... No, don't worry.
You sure it was a cow?
It
was a female cow.
With a kingpin.
I'm glad we didn't have a webcam here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about the German Beer Fest, which is going to be happening in November, and it's
Murray was exhausted.
from
when he
what
got out of that cow.
from what we can expect, there's going to be a massive amounts of beer.
Is
Yes,
it still
German
going to be?
style beer.
Is it still going to be at Grand West?
I think so.
And there's going to be great variety as well. I'm not going to divulge on that, but there will be.
Oh no, but
great
I
variety.
can imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
even if Wolfgang's or CBC's Oktoberfest beer is going to be there, that's in his stable. That's probably
Does he
my
know
favorite.
how to make those German styles though? That's my main concern.
Who? Wolfgang?
Yeah,
The German brewmaster.
yeah.
Probably the number one rated
Pretty
German
safe to
brewmaster.
say, yes.
I thought I could have got that sarcasm across.
Just
But,
say
Yeah, and he has.
Send him an email. Just say you're concerned.
I think I'll contact him straight after saying, I don't know about this. Is this Dunkel?
I think you're missing the mark here. Dear Wolfgang.
German style. Oh, okay.
So
Well, you can't blame him.
I'm
for
very
this one.
excited. I'm very excited to be going to this fest. This is now. Ooh, I'm going to book my tickets.
Yeah,
But
it's
they-
a
but
big
like-
one.
Grand West is a questionable venue.
It is an interesting venue, but then again, also, they have the Cape Town Motor Show there. And that happens, I think, 2nd to the 5th or the first weekend in March. And if you go there for that event, it is insane.
Packed.
You won't recognize the parking lot.
But that's
You know,
because
because they
everyone's
all-
driving there.
No, it's all built up and marquees and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. So if they do it properly,
Yeah.
and they've got a
Performance.
massive back courtyard that has a stage and everything,
Is it in the parking area?
I'm not
No,
sure.
yes, it is.
Because that space is
Because that
huge.
goes through to the back as well.
It would have to be in the parking lots, and it's just it's going to be one of those things where you have to get an Uber, you have to get a taxi there.
Definitely.
Um,
but either way,
But it's,
I mean,
as long as you organize it when you go there, it's going to be lekker. It's actually, I Googled map the other day, it's actually quite close to Devil's Peak, Grand West.
yes, very.
It's,
Yeah, you can
Diagonally
go
across.
have pre-drinks and then head over to the beer
I don't know
fest.
about pre-drinks because you get so full from those
Yeah, that is very true.
from the Steins. I was very fortunate to go visit the Munich beer halls. I was 19 at the time, but I only managed 2 Steins. I was finished.
Were you one of those guys that left in the special taxi? They call it a special taxi, so you go in an ambulance
With one of those special blankets.
Yeah.
Zipped up.
Yeah.
And wearing your lunch like a beard.
No, I know that I got a taxi home. I can't remember much from that.
I haven't heard that before, but I enjoyed it.
You
man.
enjoyed that?
Yeah.
You guys want to try the
I think
sneaky third?
Don't ask me twice.
we've gone on to 40 minutes of the show. We've had two beers, delicious beers, and I think it's great timing that we move on to the third and final beer. Pop that thing.
Can I pop it?
Pop it like it's hot. You know how to pop
I've
it.
got like
Oh, goodness. People just like pulled over on the road screaming. Okay, so what are we drinking here? I'm very excited.
So
wait.
this
Surely we have to pour it first.
is well, whatever you want to call it, really. Sorry. So some people call it a white stout, some people call it a pale stout, some people call it a golden stout, and to be honest, I don't really care. But it's basically the color of a lager, or perhaps a very light pale ale. But it's supposed to be a bit of a mind trick. So if you close your eyes and you smell that beer, your brain
can
tell
say it on
it's a
air.
dark
You
beer.
can
Yeah,
say it
I
on
know, but I, my mom might be listening. Hi, Mom. So I did a bit of research, obviously, for this, and I actually, to a certain extent, undershot a couple of the quantities of what I used. But I think it came out really well for what it is. I mean, clarity
Oh, that's
is
that's
shocking.
pretty
smell
clear.
it. Smell it.
And it's supposed to smell like you're going to drink a stout or a dark beer.
That's incredible.
But it looks golden in color, obviously. So it is a mind trick. It's a bit of a trick on the senses.
So a golden stout.
Yes. So
Now, I think there was someone who, I think it was Atlantic Storm. I might be.
I think it
might
was
be
Greg,
wrong. I think-
actually.
Oh,
Didn't Greg and
I think-
And Carl,
no,
no, other Greg. Greg
Banana
and
Jam,
Banana
Casey,
Jam. Greg.
yeah. Didn't they do a pale
Greg and
stout?
Sean.
I think they might have, but I know that Cameron from Atlantic Storm made one. I will say this.
You've had one,
No, I made one as a home brewer,
and it won.
and I remember even giving it to Wolfgang and saying, "What do you think?" And I think he didn't say much. He gave it back to me.
But you won an award with it. I remember. You won a People's Choice with it, I think.
Yeah, I got a People's Choice,
Nice.
but I think the problem was when you try and make a golden stout, when you put that chocolate or that coffee in, there's a danger of it getting too spicy.
Also,
Like get a
you
bit
get
of chili.
You know, you can get green pepper.
Green pepper, yeah.
Don't use medium roast coffee.
What you use,
you-
light roast.
Dark roast.
But did you only do
And you mustn't warm brew it. You must cold brew it. The
Yes.
coffee.
I actually didn't use
And you
cold
mustn't
brew
and
in
you
this.
mustn't crush the beans.
did you just do
I
full
crushed
beans?
the beans.
But then how is it still so
so,
light?
so here's what I did.
Talk us through.
Okay.
Wait, I'm gonna have a sip.
So this beer is crazy basic. It might not seem like it, but it is crazy basic. So
Okay.
my grain bill was 2% oak smoked wheat, which is still light in color.
And minimal.
Yeah, 5% Cara Pils for a bit of body, and then the rest is Pilsner malt. So the base beer,
Any oats? Any?
nothing.
Oh wow.
So the base beer, when it went into the fermenter, was lighter than a Pilsner. It was so pale you would have
Jeepers.
thought it was, piss water after a liter of water. It was super light. Then what I did was in my whirlpool, like same as we spoke about the hopping for the pale ale earlier, in the whirlpool I added 250 grams, so a gram per liter, because my final volume of my batch is generally 250. 250 grams of coffee beans in there.
Okay.
And
Ground.
then cool the batch. No, whole. Then what I did was I got a kilogram of cocoa nibs.
Yep.
Sorry. And a kilogram of and 750 grams, because I had a kilogram of coffee beans obviously
Okay.
to start with as well. Then I took 750 grams of that. So the coffee was 3 grams per liter. The cocoa nibs were 4 grams per liter. So what I did then was I actually, by pure chance, I had a bottle of vodka that I put 3
Yes,
vanilla
yes.
pods in
Yes.
9 months ago. at the
Yes.
time of brewing it. So I put those vanilla pods in June last year. Then I soaked my cocoa nibs and I blitzed the coffee in a food processor.
Sure.
Just to break it up a bit. Not super fine, I just wanted to crack them, get a bit more surface area.
Yeah.
Poured the vodka over all of that, put it in a container for a week,
And then downed it.
and then I ate it with a spoon. It was delicious. Then I just chucked all of that into the fermenter. And it was a
Tupperware.
bit risky. Yeah,
I taste that.
it was sealed as well when I put it in. I don't know how the flavor got out, but I chucked that all in, and it was a bit risky, but it worked. This beer was on the warm side,
Yes.
so around the 18 to 20 degrees. I set the temperature to 20, but obviously with no fermentation, you don't really pick up a lot of heat.
Yes.
And I left it on that warm side for almost 15 days, including fermentation, obviously. And then started cooling it. And then I left it for another 4.5 weeks, and this is what I got out.
Colours, I still don't know.
It's nuts, eh?
It's nuts, but I can tell you, if there's a home brewer listening, or any brewers listening, I think vodka is the easiest trick in the book if you want to
dance.
extract. Yeah, if you want to dance, exactly. If you want to extract a flavor from a fruit or a coffee bean, for example.
From anything.
And that's, it's a great tip. It's a what do you call it? It's an easy trick in the book.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Fastest
down
routes-
a bottle of
fastest
vodka,
route to getting.
you will definitely find out what your insides smell like.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to put
Extracting that flavor.
I don't want to extract that flavor.
If ever there were a list of beer time quotes, that would be one of them.
What's that downing?
If you down a bottle of vodka, you'll
Find out what your insides smell like.
But I totally agree with you, Troy.
You get these things printed on t-shirts.
Yeah.
Vodka is such a great, alcohol is such a great thing for extraction.
But
of
tell
anything.
So the color,
Yes.
is it just because the volume of the dark stuff you were putting in, being it cocoa nibs and coffee, was just so minimal?
I guess so. Because I didn't drown this in vodka. The vodka was literally just for a bit of extraction.
Yeah.
And so that I don't have to worry about infections.
Yeah. So it just covered it.
Not even. I was shaking that thing around
Yeah.
2 to 3 times a day just to make sure that it's all coated. And for some reason, but like I say, do bear in mind.
It
that
was
if I
very, very,
show
very
you-
light.
Yeah, if I show you the base of this recipe, the color was, it wouldn't even look like an appetizing beer.
But it makes sense.
I just want to push pause there. Carl from Beer Country says the dunkel that we just had is almost as sexy as you.
Well, Carl would be 100% correct.
Murray, please continue.
Well, thanks, Carl. I completely lost my train of thought there.
Stop staring at me, Murray. My eyes are up here.
Sure,
This is
when you're going through your WhatsApps and it's just all beer people just chat, and all of a sudden you get a message from Wolfgang at CBC. You don't know if you should open it, so you can see that you've read it.
But then you say that, so he knows you read it.
I'm just going to escape quickly.
This is it is a complete mindfuck.
It is because
If you did a blind judging,
blindfolds
blindfolds on.
that's the point of the style is that
Yeah.
people think cool, and that's what the aim is, to think that you're drinking this coffee stout or
Yes.
I'm actually flabbergasted that you've got it to be quite thick, full bodied.
Yeah, that's Cara Pils for you. And also, super basic mash. I did not go crazy on mash steps and temperatures on this.
So Cara Pils
yeah,
is going to give it a little bit of body,
dextrin.
so you can actually skip out wheat or
Yeah, like you
oats.
were asking oats or what, did you add any of that? Nope, Cara Pils. And it's also super light in color. And it doesn't have the flavor that you get from oats and those kinds of things. Not that I was avoiding that flavor, just that I was hoping for this. I
So
didn't
you say those
expect
are-
this to actually work as
So
well.
those are dextrins,
Yeah,
which
Cara
con-
Pils is they call it actually like dextrin malt. You could call it.
which contributes to body.
Yes.
Okay. Remember this.
Horse. I hope Cart Horse is listening.
Oh yeah, no, Cartus is
If you'd like to make,
I'm very excited.
if you want to make a cart horse beer, use 100% dextrin malt,
Yeah.
and just like you don't even have to add yeast because it's not going to ferment. So you can just hop the hell out of it and call it cart horse.
We've got our Belgian double, which I need to go rack.
Oh, awesome!
So I'm going to go do that this afternoon. It's great having. It's awesome having winter here. These cold temperatures, because your cellar or your room where you keep your beer, just that temperature is going to be nice and low. It's actually a little bit too low now.
Winter is actually
The best time to brew is a home brew.
And also, there's a cool little something coming out from CBC at the end of June.
Ooh, can you tell us?
No, I'm not allowed to tell
Okay,
you.
wait, hold on. I'm just going to turn. I'm going to
I
turn
can't
this.
tell you about the
turn it
vanilla
off.
bourbon porter that we're doing.
So if you missed that, you missed it.
Yeah.
No, we're going to be. I think it's going to be very cool. It's one of our Brewmasters reserves.
Cool.
Launching it. The plan is to package on the 25th.
Wolfgang's probably messaging you again, being like, "Shut up!
Wait, someone's phoning me. No, I'm kidding.
So you're still actively involved at CBC.
Yes, that's right.
And that's where you actually got your training. You were there for how many years?
Where at CBC?
Yeah, at the actual.
I still work for CBC. I'm not. I mean, look at my shirt.
No, but what I'm talking about.
I'm not wearing this as a fan. I'm wearing this because I came from work.
But you considered now as the head brewer of Tuk Tuk. Is that correct?
Employed by CBC.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, how old is Tuk Tuk? And how long were you at
I've been at Tuk Tuk
2 years now.
Yeah, the 8th of June 2016 the license came through.
Well, look at that.
The 10th of June I did my first brew production.
What happened on the 9th?
I think
Bodied.
I think I still had a shift at CBC or something, but I do recall like getting the phone call saying the license is through and like dropping everything and like getting malt together. And
Well, happy birthday to
and
Tuk
everything.
Tuk.
Yeah.
For the next 2 weeks.
Well, that's only for brewing. The first beer was launched on the first beer that I brewed there was launched on the 8th of July. And it's always, there was this review from 2016 where this guy said, tried the beer, but it's kind of like the stuff you get at other places. And it was on the 7th of July. And I was like, if you waited one day, you dickhead. Yeah. Just like, don't be so narrow-minded.
Oh,
But yeah, that's almost
the industry,
2 years and about... Actually, Siegfried's there today, one of the CBC brewers. Mm-hmm. He rocks that plant. He brews super well on it. And he is there today brewing, I think, batch number 224.
Jeepers. Mazza, what batch are you on?
223.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Just behind.
Oh, I remember ours is also smaller and
But really pushing it though.
That's why you have to leave.
Yeah, I've brewed I'm still trying to, it's batch 223 and I think I'm about halfway through one of the fermenters at CBC.
No, but seriously, how many batches you got?
I don't have, I can go have a look, but not more than 50.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're still early days.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
tanks are bigger. And
Yeah.
yours isn't sold on site.
Yeah.
I must
So-
say that's the beauty of that setup.
Yeah.
Goes from a fermenter, or what they call a uni-tank, which is fermentation and conditioning, into the bright beer tank, and the bright beer tank is connected to the tap. So you're drinking out of essentially a 600-liter keg.
Yeah. Best way to serve beer.
Yeah, there's nothing in between. I don't package. My oxygen levels are low, so the life, the
Yeah,
shelf
beer's
life of the
Longevity
beer-
is long. Well, I feel we've actually spoken some good stuff on the show. Sometimes it's a little bit of cuck, but we.
I don't agree. I don't
Disagree.
agree. Yeah, completely.
Handing in your resignation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to the Literature Festival for him.
we've got about 6 or 7 minutes
On the
left.
committee.
But I wanted to touch on this very briefly, and maybe to get both of your opinions as brewers in the industry. The number of breweries that are closing. I don't know if you saw, that's South Africa's oldest brewery, Mitchell's, closing its doors. The brand is still going to be brewed.
But now belongs,
It belongs to Devil's Peak.
yes,
Um,
as far as I know.
I don't know how much percentage that is. Again,
I didn't know about that.
I stand to be corrected here on.
I didn't know about the closing their doors part though.
No, they apparently they sell in their equipment, which is very sad. This is
And what Devil's Peak's going to brew it?
Devil's Peak has been brewing Mitchell's.
Oh, okay.
For people who don't know, Mitchell's I think was started in 1984,
Yeah, by Lex.
and it's by Lex Mitchell,
Hmm.
and it wasn't even considered a craft brewery. It was just like a small
Yeah, it
brewery.
was just another
and
brewery.
I think
Plastic
in the
bottles
last
and all.
2 years they got bought over. They had a whole new brand identity. A good friend of mine designed the labels, and it was all looked like it was back on track to becoming
I saw that
stalwarts.
too. I saw them in Wilderness actually.
And all of a sudden,
Also, they normally at that the Neisner, the Oyster Festival,
yes.
they like pump beer out there.
yeah,
And that was the last time I went, it was from their brewery. I know it wasn't from Devil's Peak.
but I suppose it's once a year, so you need a little bit
Yeah.
more than that.
Yeah.
And I know that's who else? Garagista.
Yeah.
They're closing their doors.
Oh, really?
Stickman closing their doors, and I think Long Beach up for sale again. So it's
Again,
Yeah, they sold
blue bottle.
to someone. Yeah, and now I think they're selling again. Again,
But then there's
I'm
also
pretty
guys
sure.
that reopened, like Mark.
Yeah, Red Sky sold, and then someone else came in and bought it. But it's tough out there, I suppose. It's a little bit worrying.
No,
That's
it is definitely tough out there. I can tell you that for free. I mean, it's not an easy game out there. And you know what? In America, they've got that saying that says, the craft beer industry is 99% asshole free. Unfortunately, I don't feel like that's the case in South Africa.
really.
Yeah, it's very cutthroat, and I think it's difficult, especially.
But not between brewers and brewers, right?
No, not at all.
No. But I think you're also exposed to a higher end of cutthroat ability.
No, but at the same time,
No one wants to cut my
go,
throat.
go to a place and say to them, "Hey guys, stock my beer," and
Yeah.
they'll say, "No, we've got like
So it's
five
the
beers on tap."
it's
so
the
Yeah,
retailer
yeah. No,
that's
no,
cutthroat.
yeah.
It's the restaurant owner that's expecting 10% discounts. He hasn't even looked at the price of your keg. He wants you to come in and say, "Listen, this is my discount to you," which is very, I think, detrimental to the industry. Like
extremely.
I find that very narrow-minded, and unfortunately, having previously been a restaurant owner, I've seen that firsthand from people, from other business owners, where they just, it's business, it's money,
Yes.
and if they can save as much money from their suppliers, then they can make as much, they can make more in profits. So I agree in that term, in that sense, it is very cutthroat.
Nick Smith from Soul Barrel
Yeah.
said something once that I found extremely accurate and valuable, I suppose. That say somebody comes into your restaurant and offers you, 10 free kegs as a startup. You take these 10 free kegs, you kick that guy off the line, you take my beer, for instance.
Yeah.
For a restaurant owner, I can understand the appeal
Sure.
because he's going to sell, let's call it 550 pints, and the money's all going into his pocket.
Let's call a keg 1,000 rand. That's 5,000 rands worth of free stock. You have a 300% markup,
Yeah,
which is 15,000 rand. You're not paying for those kegs.
at all.
So you're making, if those 10 kegs, you're making 15,000 rand without having to buy back anything.
Yeah. So, but here's the rest of it. So, we agree that is a very difficult deal to turn down, especially like as competitive as restaurants are nowadays. I mean, they are in no short supply in Cape
Sure.
Town. So you really have to have an edge, So if you can save some money, then obviously it's going to be appealing.
Yes.
But now let's say you're a steakhouse and I pull up there with a bucky with a bunch of steaks on the back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, hey, you can have these, but next time you buy your meat from me, then you're going to say, no, sorry, I take pride in where my meat comes from. So why don't people take pride on the beers they're serving?
Exactly. It's a food source.
Yeah, it's I want to give my customers the best experience. So why not take a bit of pride in the beer? Charge that little bit of extra, and don't sell out just so that you can make that quick buck. Go for longevity.
And now that you say it, I think beer is one of those food products which is unfortunately not treated in the same light as other
as anything,
as any other high-rise or high-level food products.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're going to get the best chicken. You're going to get the best food or
whiskey and they
or
make
wine.
A point of letting you know, this is sourced from this area, and these cows ate 18-karat gold leaves before they were slaughtered. But then when it comes to the beer, they kind of go, yeah, it's from down the road.
Well,
there's so much more to it.
I think people like us in the studio here and people listening, beer influencers, beer podcasters, beer social media, Instagrammers, Twitters, tweet people, anyway, people of influence, beer bloggers. It's up to us to kind of keep pushing this dialect. What's the word I'm looking for? This
It is, yeah, it is.
The speech, this message. There we go. It's up to us to keep pushing this message to the consumers to get that message across, and only time will tell.
But it's like you mentioned earlier when we started out the conversation. It really does come down to exposure and knowledge.
Yeah.
If people don't know what you're offering, then they're not going to buy it. I mean, you won't buy sunglasses from a blind man. So why would you buy beer from somebody that's not excited about it? They're just trying to give it away and make a buck, Because, we do this for a living. It's not my side hustle, This is
I think it's the people who play in the long game who are going to win. It's the people who play in the short game and trying to make a quick buck who are just. There's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing. That's what they want to do, but it's just. I don't think they're going to win long term.
No.
And unfortunately, there are some breweries out there. I'm not going to mention any names who've hired people who do have that short-term mentality.
Short-term mentality in and out, yeah. But, like you say, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're running a business and that's your goal, if you want to build it up and flog it, then so be it. But at least be slightly considerate of the rest of the market that's not there for a quick buck. That's there for, actual life investment, like time and...
Interesting times, and I'm pretty sure we could talk about this all day as I've kind of introduced a new subject, but unfortunately we do need to kind of call it a day because we are out of time. It is a 1 hour show. I can't believe it's gone an hour. We haven't played any music.
Crazy.
It's just finished like that. I have enjoyed it. Mr. Dewald, thank you very much. I really enjoyed having you on the show. I think we're going to have you again because I think, as most of the listeners will agree, you're very knowledgeable. You bring a lot to the industry, and I think people want to know more. And I, as the host, want to drink more of your beers.
Perfect.
So,
well, I've got another one that's going to be coming up. Hopefully, not too long.
Sold.
It's going to be
where is one? No, get this.
Red Velvet Cupcake Ale.
Shut up, man.
Jeez.
You know who will love that is Greg and Carl. They love their cook beer. They love
this
it.
one is going to be something else. I did not need to see that.
So we're going to have, I think, we need to make a cake beer in our homebrew. But anyway, Mazza, fantastic having you back in the studio. You know what?
So good to be back. Thanks for having me, T-Bone.
And you know what? I thank you for wearing a nice smart shirt.
Yeah, I just thought I've got a power dress today. I want to feel it.
You look like Jim Carrey when he's when he's a news anchor presenter and he what's that? Bruce Almighty, I think. And he wears a big power shirt.
Yes,
that's what you remind me of.
Thank you.
It's actually
Thank you.
Radiating power.
Must go Google that.
I will.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today. I enjoyed the beers. Thank you very much, Dewald from Tuk Tuk, for bringing us the Pale Ale. the
Thank you very
Dunkel,
much.
the
Golden,
white stout.
fake
Golden
stout.
White Pale Stout.
Cheapers. You can call it the white coffee stout. It was fantastic.
By a donkey.
Yeah, thank you. And I look forward.
They were all delicious.
And if you want to go visit, you can go to Franschhoek, Main Road.
Yes.
And-
14 Huguenot Road.
You will see it. It's actually quite close to the monument.
Very.
Yeah.
The block before. And then you can see the other, well, as soon as Hey Joe opens, there are actually 4 if you go on the Simondium Road. Because Nick from Soul Barrel's down there.
It's just ridiculous. There's going to have to be a bit of a tram. I know there's a wine tram.
Yeah, we actually, we'll.
Well, that's
Eventually
another
get
thing
there.
Devil's speaking about that he's not allowed to. Well, we've actually invested quite heavily in a beer tram.
It'd be amazing if you got, I don't know, tuk-tuks
Rail
going in
company.
between. Hey, tuk-tuks going back and forth.
There are actually tuk-tuks in Franschhoek. And
Really?
now often people come in there and say, do you guys have tuk-tuks here? And I was like, no, sorry.
We've got beer, though.
Then they say, but your name is Tuk-Tuk. And I was like, yo, next door is Leeuw House and they don't have lions. Just cut me some slack here.
Pow. Cool, guys. I think this is a good place to leave you. We will see you guys soon next week, where we have a surprise guest. And when I say surprise, I probably need to go organize that.
Surprise to you,
You're
too.
even surprised about it.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Thank you for listening to Hashtag Beer Time, and to our international guests. We will see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for listening, guys and girls. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for Hashtag Beer Time. That's Hashtag Beer Time written out in full. Hope you enjoyed the show, and check you next time. Cheers.